Welcome once again to the False Prophet. This is the channel where we get Islam busted and exposed for the lie and false doctrine of what it is. And in tonight's segment, we're going to be discussing a hadith that gets Muhammad in trouble once again. Now, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button so when we upload videos, you will be the first to be notified. Now, before me on the screen, you see this is the Islam chat that you can get from your Play Store. Now, for those who don't know, Muslims have went on the World Wide Web in efforts to spread Islam. They are now utilizing every outlet of social media that they possibly can to spread Islam. They are now in the tech digital age, no longer in the 7th century. So they are trying to spread these lies on every platform possible. Now, I downloaded the app that's called Islam Chat. You can download this app yourself. And at this chat site, they have agents 24/7 available to answer any question that you have about Islam. But mind you, if you ask them something that will get them buckled, they will quickly end the chat. They will come up with a bogus reason. They'll write you a message saying we don't allow any type of hate speech. Even if you don't even have to be saying anything hateful, but if you just saying something that gets them busted, that's their quick way out of the discussion. Now, also, if they don't have an answer, another thing that they'll do, they'll switch you to another agent. They've done this to me time and time again. Now, as you see, when you go on, when you log on into the chat, they have a area where it says where you can click for Muslim or non-Muslim. So if you are a Muslim, they will tell you to send the email in. But if you are a non-Muslim, they will speak to you, one of the live agents. So in this particular session that I had with the agents, it started out with an agent by the name of Bilal. As you see, if you look at the top, it says, I'm a non-Muslim. And the man or the agent who responded, his name is Bilal. And they always, give you a greeting. Hello, thank you for visiting Allah's word. How may I help you? So the first thing that I did, I didn't even say anything to them. I just copied and pasted a particular hadith because I knew I would get them cornered with my question. So as you see, I'm visitor 0003. And I posted a hadith by Abu Huraira. I always mess up the pronunciation of that name. And if you look at the hadith, it says, the messenger of Allah said, angels do not accompany the travelers who have with them a dog or a bell. And then I wrote underneath the hadith that I posted, this is my question I asked them. I said, so if I keep a bell with me at all times, then how can an angel on my shoulder record anything I do? And I left 3 laughing faces. So by this time, he's over there scratching his head like, wow. So he realized how silly it was. So then he responded and he asked me the source of the hadith. So then without hesitation, I went and copied and pasted the source of the hadith. And all of these hadiths, you can get them yourself. They come from sunnah.com. So they can't say that this is coming from a Islamic hate site. They can't say this is something coming from a Islamophobe, because that's the first thing they like to do. They use these shaming tactics because they don't want people to question anything about Islam. And that be as it may, I posted the reference. As you see, the reference says Sahih Muslim. So Sahih means authentic. So he cannot deny this. No Muslim can deny anything that's Sahih. And we have, covered that before. So it says Sahih Muslim, book 37, Hadith 157. So he realized that it was an authentic Hadith. So he's still over there scratching his head. And I was giggling and laughing because I was having fun. Then I wrote, yeah, I know it's silly, right? I thought the same thing. And again, I left the laughing faces. Then I said, but you have to go with and try to defend, even though it's ridiculous. Because they do. As you see, it was a period of time when he didn't even say anything. So I had to wait to see. I didn't know if he was going to come back or not. Because you see, with Muslims, he was thinking of something to say because he realized that he was in a trap. Like he didn't have anywhere to go because the hadith was authentic. And it wasn't one of those subject matters where it can be ambiguous. No, it wasn't like that. It was just it's one of those subject matters that's verbatimly accurate in what was said in the hadith. It wasn't anything mystified about it. It was as literal as it gets. So it wasn't anything metaphorical where he can probably, go through different twists and turns. No, it was straight to the point. So then he wrote, listen to his ridiculous answer. He wrote, this means that one will not be under the protection of angels, but the angels who record your deeds are always with you. What? And then I said, look at you trying to find an excuse. That's not what it says. LOL. It says specifically, angels do not travel with anyone who has a bell. Don't even try it, dude. It makes no exceptions. So basically, I was just calling him out because I wasn't going to let him escape from the hadith. And we can go back and read what it says. It says, the messenger of Allah said, angels do not accompany the travelers who have with them a dog or a bell. Because in Islam, they have this belief that you have an angel on your right shoulder and an angel on your left shoulder. And one of the angels is good and the other angel is bad. And it's recording everything that you do. And you've seen those cartoons where the cartoon character will have an angel on one shoulder and an angel on the other shoulder. That comes from Islam. That's a silly belief that comes from Islam. So, as you see, he was trying to get out of it. And he said, this means that one will not be under the protection of angels. Now, where in that hadith did it say, this means that one will not be under the protection of angels? You see, he had to say that because he didn't have nothing else to say. Simple as that. But the angels who record your deeds are always with you. So basically, in order to justify the stupidity, he had to go against his very prophet and say something that his prophet didn't say and add something that no hadith says, nor is nowhere found in the Quran. So he had to create and fabricate a different meaning that wasn't in the hadith. So basically, he was reaching, like they say, for straws. So then the conversation went on. I posted some more things. At this point, I was just poking at him and just having fun. I said, so if you keep a bell on you, then when judgment day come, Allah will have no record. It's true, because if you don't have no angel recording anything, you keep a bell on you at all times. You can keep an angel away from recording your good or bad deeds in Islam. You see how every time Muhammad spoke, he got himself busted, and it only gets worse. And then I wrote, so in other words, jinn are greater than the angels of Allah because jinn are not afraid of dogs or bells. And it's true. And as you see, I left the laughing faces and the clapping hands because at this point I was just laughing how he was so, defeated at this point. He couldn't even say anything. So I waited for some time and he didn't return. So I left. And when I came back to the app, it said the chat had been closed due to long user inactivity. But that's him. He didn't come back. So I wasn't going to sit and wait forever. So then I came back to the app and I just copied and pasted the same conversation that I was having with the other agent. So you get a bonus in this video. I defeated or embarrassed or devastated two of their agents, killing two birds with one stone. So the other agent that came, his name was Zam, kind of like the Zamzam water. His name was Zam, and he gave the same greeting. Hello, thank you for visiting. I guess it's a computer generated greeting that they use. So I posted the same hadith. As you can see, the messenger of Allah said, angels do not accompany the travelers who have with them a dog or a bell. So then Zam replied, he said, yes, what about that? Then I said, like I told the other agent, so if I keep a bell with me at all times, then how can an angel on my shoulder record anything I do? He said smart, because he realized that he never thought about that. You see what I'm saying? He said smart. And then he said, however, there are various types of angels. This talks about a specific type that brings in prosperity and blessing. Where did it say that there was an exception in that hadith? Nowhere. So I replied to him. He did the same thing that the other agent did. And this is how all Muslims do. When you get them in a corner, they will go against their prophet and they'll start just fabricating things because Muslims are allowed to lie. In the Quran, it tells them that they can lie. So they can tell a lie to make Islam not look stupid. So if they're trying to further the cause of Islam, they can lie about it. And he knows that he's lying. But don't worry, I didn't let him off the leash. So I responded, I said, don't even try it. It makes no exceptions, LOL. Then he went to the classic defense mechanism that all Muslims will employ when you get them cornered. He said, only if we understood Arabic and the context of the discussion. That's two things that you will hear a Muslim do. They will bring up Arabic, and then another excuse they would try to use is context. In this hadith that you saw, the context is very literal. You see, he didn't have anything else to say, so he's trying to use any dodge tactic that he could. And then I wrote, only if you would not try to add into it, LOL. See, I was responding back to what he said. He said, only if we understood Arabic and the context of the discussion. I said, only if you would not try to add into it. So at this point, he's like, wow, this guy is really intelligent. He's smacking me up. And you know what? My imam didn't prepare me for this. When I was coming up as a youth, they never prepared me how to answer something like this. So he just simply bowed out basically when he replied with that smiley face. Because at this point, he realizes that, wow, somebody has really been doing their studying. And he was right. So then I wrote, it does not make any exceptions. And in another hadith, it says angels, they won't even enter a home with bells. So if I stay in a house with bells, how will an angel record me? So at this point, I'm giving him another entanglement to deal with, because he tried to get out of the first example that I gave. So now I'm giving him another hadith reference about angels. They don't even come into the house that has bells in it or a dog. So now he got two things to deal with. So then I wrote, now you see why all these hadiths destroy Islam, LOL. Then Zam replies, simple logic. Has anyone who lived in a house with a dog never died? I guess he was, well, let's hear his argument. Then I wrote, it makes you have to find ways to get out of it because it's filled with silly sayings, LOL. I was talking about all of these like silly hadiths. What it does, it forces the Muslim to make himself look even more ridiculous. So every time they have to try to find a clever way to get out of a silly hadith, they end up looking like a fool, because they'll come up with all type of explanations, off the wall excuses that they don't have any kind of references to back it up or anything. They're just trying to, cover up the mistakes that their prophet made. Then he said, how do you think the angel of death takes the soul? So basically he was saying that his defense he was trying to employ was, an angel of death takes a soul. So are you saying that nobody has ever died with a bell in their house? So how did an angel of death come into their house? Basically, he's thinking that he's getting me busted, but watch what I told him. I said, don't ask me to explain, ask your prophet. I'm just saying what he says. So maybe you are proving him wrong. I was just using his logic. He's basically saying Muhammad is wrong because angels of death come into the homes with bells. But Muhammad said they don't accompany anybody with a bell, nor do they enter a home with a bell. So he is shooting himself in the foot, trying to defend, but not knowing that he is just helping me out. Did y'all catch it? So then I said, so you should be concerned. So you should be concerned, not me. I'm just showing how it doesn't make sense. I'm just quoting what it says. It says, angels stay away from bells. Simple as that. Then I said, I was just joking with him at this point. I was having fun and laughing. I said, so I have a bell on me right now. So are angels keeping away? Yes or no? He said, keep the bell. We will know in due course of time. So at this point, he's frustrated, and that's what people do. He's like, basically, he realizes that I have him by the leash. He has nowhere to go, and that's why he said what he said, because he didn't have a way out of it. Then I said I wanted to go back to him trying to deny the hadith. I said, show me where it says only certain angels stay away from bells. I'm waiting. Because remember, he was trying to add into it, even though the hadith itself didn't make any exceptions. So I was going to, make him be a man of his word, and I wasn't going to let him escape. So then after that, I said, so you see how it's silly? And then I wrote ... So if you know it's silly, then what's your excuse for promoting a silly thing? And I was referring to the hadith. He said, okay, so if I do, what would you do? I didn't respond to that. I said, so in other words, the jinn are, because at this point I'm still rubbing it in. I said, so in other words, the jinn are greater than the angels of Allah because they are not afraid of dogs and bells, which makes perfect sense. Because if the angels of Allah can be deterred because of a dog and a bell, that means they are less powerful than jinn, because jinn are not deterred from dogs or bells. And Muslims have a belief, it's a belief in Islam, that jinn can transform into any animal. Then I said, I knew he wasn't going to answer the question, so I answered it for him. I said, that's exactly what it means. Jinn can transform into dogs and the angels could do nothing about it. LOL. And that's true. So if a jinn can form into snakes and animals, if they transform into a dog, what could an angel of Allah do to a jinn? Absolutely nothing. Because they stay away from dogs, remember? So then he said, tell me what you would do. I guess he's asking me what would I do if he can prove that the hadith that I had posted was not referring to all of the angels staying away from bells. So this is what he's trying. This was the new thing he was trying to push once he got busted by the hadith. He was trying to find a way out of it. I said, show me. Don't ask me questions. Show me where it says only certain angels are afraid of dogs and bells. Show me in the Quran or hadith. I was being very specific with him because Muslims all the time, when they be grilling Christians, they'll say stuff like, show me where it says in clear words where Jesus said in the Bible that I am the Son of God, worship me. They want you to tell it to them just like that in those exact words. So basically, I was giving him the same criteria, the same way how Muslims grill Christians when they are asking questions. Then he said, I will if you tell me, what will you do? I said, I will read it and say, okay. Okay. Then he says, then no point wasting time, right? Might as well do something better. I guess at this point, he didn't have much evidence. So he's trying to get me away from asking questions. You see, this is just a psychological tactic that he was using. Trust me, I know Muslims like the back of my hand. I know everything they're going to do, everything they're going to say. Islam is dead at this point. And social media and the internet and all of the sources of Islam that's available at the click of a button, they have nowhere to turn at this point. Anyway, I said, and we'll ask you to explain how you know which ones are able to or not. But the truth is, there is no reference, LOL, other than what I showed you. Then he continued with some rubbish. Might as well save some time and be productive. He don't, at this point, it's like a boxing match. He's dazed at this point, wobbling and looking for his corner to throw the towel in. So I said, because it said angels, which is all inclusive, exactly. It said angels with an S. So that means every angel, is no exception to it. Then I said, so why are they afraid of bells? What's so dangerous about a bell, right? Like, why would an angel be afraid of a bell? But it only gets worse for him. Then he said some ridiculous stuff. I'm embarrassed to even read this. He said, okay, so if I say humans don't enter a sewage passage, and then you see a human being in a developing world, I wasn't even trying to listen to that. I don't even know what he was saying. Then I said it's just a piece of metal. Continuing what I was saying about why would angels be afraid of a bell? He was writing something in between that. And he continued with come out of a passage because he was cleaning it doesn't mean what I said was wrong. Does that make sense? Let's read everything he wrote in white. Tell me, does this make sense? This is how Muslims, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's like every Muslim that I have ever encountered or tried to have a Q&A session with, when you get them cornered, they start talking like in like irrational sentences. It's like they just, when they get confounded, they get stupid at the same time. They just start saying stuff. Sometimes I think they pretending to not understand what you're saying, or this is just their way to diffuse what you are saying. I mean, whatever it is, it's just demonic. So he said, okay, so if I say humans don't enter a sewage passage, and then you see a human being in a developing world come out of a passage because he was cleaning it, doesn't mean what I said was wrong. What the fuck? That don't even make sense. Then I wasn't even trying to listen to that. So I said, what's so bad about a silly bell? I'm still asking him about why would an angel be afraid of a bell? I said, what's so bad about a silly bell? Then he's not responding to that. He says, I'm sorry you find it difficult to understand plain language. Sorry, but not sorry. Nothing you said was clear, man. Like, but anyway, I said, you writing incomplete sentences and maybe not explaining it good as he thought he was explaining it. So then he posted me some long explanation, and I'm gonna read it and show you how this didn't make sense. It had nothing to do with what I was asking him about. And I'm only making this video to show you how Muslims, how they operate. Like how they never answer questions directly. They always get off subject. Nothing they say is rational or logical. Just look at the response he posted for what I said. For the hadith that I posted and the point that I made, look at his response. He posted something that a scholar said, and he posted a hadith that had nothing to do with what I asked him. Here is how the classical scholars have explained it. Bukhari and Muslim narrated from Abu something. The angels do not enter a house in which there is an image. Okay. I don't see, but do you see how that's, answering my question of why an angel would be afraid of a bell? Did I say anything about an image? You see how stupid they are? So then the scholar said the reason why they do not enter a house in which there is an image, I didn't say anything about an image. Man, these people are stupid, man. So he sends me something about an image, and we're not even talking about images. And with regard to these angels who do not enter a house in which there is a dog or an image, they are the angels. Do you see what he did? He posted something about dogs and images, and I asked him about a bell. Do y'all see what I'm trying to get you to understand? These Muslims don't have answers to this garbage. They don't have answers. Then I wrote, that didn't say what you said. Remember the other excuse he was saying about certain types of angels? I said, that didn't say what you said. The response he gave me, it failed to support what he said earlier when I called him out on it. Neither did it address me asking him why would an angel be afraid of a bell. But just hold on to your seatbelts. It's only going more and more downhill for him at this point. I said, show me where a hadith or Quran says some angels are not warded off by bells. You didn't prove anything. You just showed me why they don't enter homes with pictures. So my point still stands. I knew you didn't have anything. Your prophet specifically said they don't accompany people with bells. It's no way around it. It made no exceptions. You showed me something some man said, because he showed me some, even in the post that he showed about the images, that wasn't even from a hadith or the Quran. It was from a scholar, quote unquote. You showed me something some man said, but anybody can say anything, but without a hadith or Quran to back it, it means nothing. So he responded, I was giving you a gist of the matter. To be more specific, he posted something else. He said, and I'll read it. Muslim narrated in his Sahih from Abu. The angels do not accompany any group with whom there is a dog or a bell. And he narrated also from Abu. Bells are the musical instruments of Shaitan. Now this is where he messed up. He was trying to see, this post right here was more so I was asking him why angels were afraid of bells. So he posted something saying that bells are musical instruments of Satan. So I guess this was his way of saying that angels are afraid of bells because they are a musical instrument of Satan, but angels have the protection of Allah. So even if it's a musical instrument of Satan, if they got Allah on their side, why would that deter them from accompanying? Either way, it's just, it don't make sense. So it's proving that, number one, Allah is not powerful. He's not more powerful than Shaitan, because only thing Shaitan has to do is surround your house with bells or toss some bells around you, and he can keep the angels of Allah away from you. But Allah is supposed to be all powerful, but the angels he created, in all of his divine intelligence that he's supposed to have, he didn't create them with the gift of not being able to be deterred by bells. A bell? A bell, people. Taco Bell? You got bells and fire alarms that's hanging in your house. So I guess that if you're a Muslim and if you got a fire alarm in your house or a CO2 detector that has a bell on the inside of it that detects the carbon monoxide levels in your home, I guess you need to take the fire alarms out of your mosque, because that's a bell. You need to take the CO2 detectors out of your home, because that's a bell. And if you're living in one of these modern day apartments, it's a requirement that you have a CO2 detector. So basically, angels of Allah and the protecting angels will not be able to enter your home because you have a bell in your home and you have fire alarm bells in your mosque. So I guess the angels of Allah won't be able to protect you. You see how stupid this is? So, but it also gets them busted. I'm going to show you why. As for bells, I'm reading what he posted. As for bells, it was said that the reason why the angels dislike them is that they are similar to church bells. So angels dislike bells because they are similar to church bells. I want to laugh right now, but it's sad. This religion is totally stupid. This is sad that you got billions. They say, Muslims tell you that there's 1.8 billion Muslims in the world today. So you telling me you got 1.8 billion people believing this kind of garbage? That angels dislike bells and they stay away from them and they are deterred by bells because they are similar to church bells. Well, if that's the case, then why did the Muslims, if angels stay away from bells because they are similar to church bells, then why did the Muslims, when they went into Turkey, why did they turn the Hagia Sophia, which was a church building, into a mosque? They turned it into a mosque, but right here is saying that they don't like bells because they resemble church bells. So, but they went into a church and turned it into a mosque. So the mosque resembles a church with a little adaptations to it to turn it into a mosque. You see how contradictory that is? But we'll continue. I'm just showing you how foolish and stupid this religion is. It makes absolutely no sense. Or because they are one of the hanging things that are forbidden. One of the hanging things that are forbidden, but Muslims, they pray with rosary beads, which is a hanging thing. It's so. And it was said that the reason why they are disliked is their sound, which is supported by the report which mentions the musical instruments of the shaitan. Now you about to see, you probably already read it. It's right, it's in the blue area. So I said in response, now this is where he got himself busted big time. So they stay away because of the sound of bells, but your prophet heard ringing bells when he received revelations. So that means they were from Satan, busted. So if the bells, if the sound of the bells is the sound of the musical instruments of Satan, then that means that Muhammad himself was receiving satanic revelations, because he said when he was receiving those revelations, he heard the sound of ringing bells. And we're going to show you that. We're going to show you that hadith. So Zam responded. He said, what saddens me is your lack of blah, 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 blah. Just a bunch of nothing. Then I wrote, nah, you got busted. You just posted bells or sounds of instruments from Satan, as you all saw for yourself. So why did your prophet hear ringing bells? That means those revelations from Satan. That means those revelations were from Satan. And then I get him busted because I showed him a hadith, like I told you I would show you, to prove that his prophet heard ringing bells when he got revelations. So this proves that the revelations of Muhammad were satanic revelations. Narrated Aisha, the child bride of Muhammad, the little girl Aisha, who he married when she was 6, which is pedophilia, which is child molestation. Muhammad was a child molester. She narrated what I'm about to read to you. O Allah's apostle, how was the divine inspiration revealed to you? Allah's apostle, and that's referring to Muhammad, Allah's apostle replied, sometimes it is revealed like the ringing of a bell. This form of inspiration is the hardest of all, and then this state passes off after I have grasped what is inspired. Sometimes the angel comes in the form of a man and talks to me, and I grasp whatever he says. Aisha added, verily I saw the prophet being inspired divinely on a very cold day and noticed the sweat dropping from his forehead. You get it? It was cold, but he was still sweating. This man was under demonic possession, people. He's telling you. And as you've seen, the ringing bell sound is from the instrument of Shaitan, according to the Muslim sources. Again, we just using what they tell us to get them busted. That's all we doing. So their prophet is telling them, he's saying in his hadith, we'll read it again. Allah's apostle replied, sometimes it is revealed. And again, when you see revealed, that's what they put in there. He said, sometimes it is like the ringing of a bell. Whenever you see like those apostrophes and like the words inside of the the uh the what's the word? The parentheses, the Muslims themselves, they add that stuff into the Arabic. It's not in the original Arabic. That's something they do. You'll see them do that a lot in the Quran, the translations that they translate the Arabic into English. And the reason why they do that is because a lot of the things that they translate, it gets Islam busted. So they have to like cleverly try to twist the meaning of the verse into something that it didn't really say. Or they will replace a word that is not in the original Arabic. So the English reader will not see the mistakes inside of the Islam. I'm telling y'all, like, these Muslims are the biggest liars and deceivers on the face of the planet. So their prophet, he said it himself. Sometimes it is like the ringing of a bell. This form of inspiration is the hardest of all, and then this state passes. You know why he says the hardest of all? Because he was terrified. Muhammad was terrified of these visitations because he was getting these demonic visitations when he was reportedly in the, well, I'm gonna save that for the next video that I upload. I'm not gonna go into it, but my next video I will be basically breaking down how Islam cannot be from the true God. And I will be talking about Muhammad's experience in the cave of Hira, where he got his supposed revelations from the angel Jibril, what they say is Gabriel. They say it's Jibril, but we know it's the angel Gabriel from the Bible. In the Arabic, they call it Jibril. And we'll break that down in the next video when I talk about Muhammad's experience in the cave of Hira to prove that it's no way that that revelation was a true revelation from God. And we will break that down in my next video. So then, after I had posted the hadith that Aisha mentioned, Muhammad saying that his revelations came in the form of a ringing bell, I wrote, "You just busted your prophet, my friend. His revelations were from Satan." Then Zam says, "You need to understand that to feel like someone is ringing a bell is different from someone keeping a bell from worship." That's so stupid. I don't even know what he was trying to say. That's dumb. Then he said, "You win." No, I didn't win. Of course I won. At this point, he has totally been smashed. And I said, "Nah, don't even try it. You just posted the bell sound is from Instruments of Satan." Then he said, "Hope that keeps you happy." At this point, he's basically just giving up at this point. There's nothing else he can do. I said, "Nah, you have to admit I'm right. So why are you following a man who get revelations from Satan?" He didn't want to answer. As you see, he replied. And then I said, "The sounds of ringing bells, you are admitting you are a devil worshiper." Because of any Muslim, once you hear that the sound of ringing bells are from the instruments of Satan, and your prophet telling you that when his revelations came to him, they came to him in the sound of ringing bells, then you are admitting by continuing to follow this man, Muhammad, that you are following a devil worshiper. At this point, you are admitting that you are a devil worshiper. Then he said, "To each his own, I find my way logical and peaceful." He says he finds his way logical and peaceful. You see how this demon has him thinking that he is, but that's his business. People who allow themselves to be, deceived, it comes to a point where if you continue to turn a blind eye and ear to the truth, then God will turn you over to a reprobate mind. So a lot of these Muslims, they have reprobate minds, as you see. And a reprobate is a person who can't come back because they have denied the truth so much. And the Bible says at a certain point, God will relinquish his trying to win you over, and he will allow you to be turned over to a state of eternal damnation. And then my last remark was, repent before it's too late. You were busted. He said, sure, thanks. I said, LOL. And that's the end of the chat. So hope you got something out of it. In this session, we prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Muhammad, he got his revelations from Satan. As you see, he said it himself. As you see, the agent at Islam Chat, he got himself busted. And he even proved by what he posted that the ringing bell is the sounds of the instruments of Satan. Muhammad heard ringing bells when he received his revelations. You put two and two together, and you see what 4. You get it. 2 + 2 = 4. You put 2 and 2 together, you see what 4, and you can see that clearly Muhammad got his revelations from Satan. There's nothing they can say. He heard ringing bells. Ringing bells is the sound of the instruments of Satan, according to the Islam. And that's my take on it. Hope you enjoyed the tonight's lesson. Until we do it again, this is the False Prophet, and signing out.